Someone anonymously posted on the campus forum. How do you chase a girl when you don't have her contact info? The comment section was full of advice. Easy. Accidentally drop your campus ID near her. She picks it up, posts about it on the lost and found board, and boom, you have an excuse to add her. Then just treat her to a meal as a thank you. Instant connection. A few days later, the original poster came back with an update. Didn't work. She had her boyfriend return my ID. What do I do now? SOS. Boy. Friend. Rip. Your efforts were in vain. I believe in you, OP. Forget morals. Be yourself. Classic move. Just keep losing your ID. Eventually, her boyfriend will get fed up and she'll have to return it herself. Then it's game on. I looked down at the third campus ID I had, coincidentally, picked up from the same guy, and fell into deep silence. The post was dated February 20th. I scrolled through my chat history with my boyfriend. HN, I found your roommate Sebastian's campus ID. Can you return it to him for me? The date? February 21st. Coincidence, or not? The first time I picked up the ID, I didn't think much of it. After all, a college experience without losing your campus card at least once? Incomplete. So I simply passed it to my boyfriend who happened to share a dorm with Sebastian. End of story. The second time I found it, I was a little surprised. Turns out, the so-called untouchable campus heartthrob was actually pretty forgetful. Guess looks really can be deceiving. But today, when I picked up his card again, I started feeling skeptical. I logged into the campus forum and, out of sheer curiosity, searched for lost campus ID. That's when I saw the post. Coincidence? I stared at the screen for a few seconds, then shrugged. Guess there's no point playing detective. Might as well just ask. I typed up a post, found campus ID, Sebastian M. Looking for the owner. Right as I hit publish. Ding. A friend request popped up on my WhatsApp. It's Sebastian. Hey, that's my campus ID. I've been looking for it everywhere. Thank you so much. Excited puppy spinning emoji. Message retracted. Message retracted. Message retracted. Ping. Sebastian M. Hello, I'm the owner of the lost campus ID. Thank you for returning it. When would be a convenient time for you? I can adjust to your schedule and location. Would you be open to grabbing a meal? As a token of appreciation. Me? I didn't reply. 10 minutes later, I reopened that anonymous forum post. After over 10 days of silence, the original poster had updated the thread. Thanks, everyone. I got her contact info. But now she's ignoring me. What do I do? SOS. The comments section exploded. Wait, what? So persistence really does pay off? From the moment I met your girlfriend, I knew we'd be brothers for life. Boyfriend here. $50 and I'll keep my mouth shut. I reread this entire thread at 2 a.m. and after careful analysis I see just 4 words. Break. Meow. Listen, messing with relationships is morally wrong. But as the wise saying goes, screw morals, follow your heart. Okay, but real talk. Is this ID card an assist tool or just another NPC in his game? Dude, shave your head, wear her boyfriend's outfit and become him. Problem solved. I put my phone away and rushed to the computer lab to tell my boyfriend. Just as I was about to knock, I froze. A voice drifted from inside. Damn, Damien, I gotta hand it to you, keeping 2 girls on the hook at once. So, when are you finally gonna break up with Sophia? Yes. The Sophia they were talking about was me, and Damien was my boyfriend. I froze in place, listening. Then Damien's calm, lazy voice drifted out. What are you even talking about? I haven't agreed to Amelia yet. Come on, man. Amelia's been throwing herself at you. She's hotter, smarter, and way more ambitious than Sophia. You're telling me you're not tempted? I stood there, cold spreading through my fingertips. Waiting for Damien to deny it. Waiting for him to say he loves me. But all I got was silence. Long enough to shatter my last bit of hope. Then he sighed. Being tempted isn't the point. I gotta see if it'll actually work out long term. I'll try things out with Amelia first. But I can't just drop Sophia yet. I need to see which option is more stable and useful. I mean, imagine if I dumped Sophia right away and Amelia turned out to be hard to control. That'd be a pain in the ass. A round of impressed whistles followed. Damn, that's genius. Bro, I swear I learn something new from you every time. But, has Sophia really not caught on? Nah, she's obsessed with me. Never checks my phone. So I have time to weigh my options. Time to weigh his options. My tears fell unbidden. Not out of heartbreak, but out of sheer frustration. Girls have a sixth sense for this kind of thing. I knew our relationship had been drifting apart. He was always busy. Stopped replying as much. Stopped making time for me. He said, people need their own space. That clinging to him would suffocate him. But we hadn't seen each other in 10 days. The last time we met was when I picked up Sebastian's campus ID. I used it as an excuse just to see Damien again. I thought he was just stressed with school. Turns out he was just planning his exit. I pulled out my phone. Typed 2 words. We're done. Walked. It was only then that I noticed. Sebastian had sent over 10 messages. Sebastian M. Hey, why won't you reply? Don't worry, I'm not a bad guy. It's really me, Sebastian. If you don't believe me, I can send a picture. Although fair warning, ID photos always suck. Might be better to compare the real thing. Attached was one image. Sebastian, wearing a lab coat, looking into the camera. Eyes like moonlight reflected on still water. And below that, a whole wall of retracted messages. What exactly had he tried to say? My phone buzzed again. Sebastian M. Maybe we could meet in person to confirm? You choose the time and place. You can bring pepper spray. Or a friend, if that makes you feel safer. I stared at the screen. Then an idea sparked. Hit back. Okay. I stared down at the campus ID in my hand. In the photo, Sebastian was grinning. Sharp canine teeth peeking out, making him look like a harmless, carefree college guy. This was the same guy who went viral across campus because of a single video. Med school 8 a.m. reality check full screen recommended. Under the cold glow of fluorescent lights, Sebastian stood in his white lab coat, buttoned all the way up. He hooked a gloved finger, tugging the latex down. A soft, slick sound echoed as the material peeled away. His long fingers emerged from the gloves, flushed pink from the lack of air. Then, he tilted his head slightly, bit the edge of the glove, pulled it off with his teeth. His sharp canines left tiny crescent indentations in the rubber. And just as the glove slid off, Sebastian looked directly at the camera. 10 seconds. That's all it took for the video to explode online. A simple, routine task but shot like a sexy cosplay edit. However, that wasn't the only thing that made him famous. It was this. A girl once tried to give him chocolate in person. Sebastian pulled up a payment app and transferred her money. After that, whenever someone left gifts in secret, he handed them over to Lost and Found. One rainy afternoon, a girl sweetly hinted, "Oh no, I forgot my umbrella, Sebastian, could you walk me home?" He booked her a taxi instead. One student summarized it best. He's got the aura of a lone wolf on a snowy mountaintop. Looks soft when he smiles, but he's actually ruthless. A total scammer. Deserves to be single. Someone like that. How could he ever? Lost in thought, I nearly missed the voice calling my name. Sophia. Over here. I turned. By the window seat, Sebastian smiled and waved. A black suit jacket draped over one arm. His white dress shirt was neatly tucked into slim-fit black slacks. The top 3 buttons were undone, revealing a glimpse of collarbone. I froze. The words I had prepared stuck in my throat. The first time I fell for Damien was at a coding club icebreaker. All because of a white dress shirt. And now Sebastian was wearing one too? I took my seat. Without a word, Sebastian pushed a drink toward me. Lemon iced tea. 30% sugar, light ice, oolong base, extra lemon juice, and coconut jelly. When I didn't immediately reach for it, he rubbed the back of his neck and added, "Oh right, Damien's my roommate. He mentioned you liked this, so I ordered 2. Did he now? Because I never once told Damien that." I lifted the glass, took a small sip, then leaned back casually. "So, I heard you like me." Clang. A loud crash echoed through the cafe. Sebastian's glass slipped, rolling off the table. Iced lemon tea spilled down his collar, soaking his shirt. He choked, his back curving inward as he coughed. His Adam's apple bobbed, a breathy, half-strangled sound escaping. Sorry, I need to use the restroom." I watched his panicked retreat, still processing what just happened. Then, his phone screen lit up. An incoming call. The caller hung up. But instead of locking, the phone stayed on. Frozen on Sebastian's browser history. I swear I didn't mean to look. But the search history font was just too damn big. How to make my roommate treat his girlfriend better. How to break the ice with a girl I like. White dress shirts are the male equivalent of thigh-high stockings. Crying is the best free cosmetic treatment for men. The ultimate girl magnet move. The most recent search. My roommate is absolute trash. How do I convince his girlfriend to dump him? When Sebastian returned, his wet shirt clung to his waist. The translucent fabric outlined the lean muscle beneath. I forced myself to look away, but my brain betrayed me. A sudden memory surfaced. Of Sebastian playing basketball. Damien always dragged me to his games. And every time he'd grumble about how Sebastian kept to himself, barely talked to their roommates. Inviting him to play on their team? Always rejected. But the next moment Sebastian would show up. On the opposing team. And he wouldn't just play. He'd completely destroy them. Damien's team couldn't even touch the hoop with Sebastian guarding. Everyone else wiped their sweat with towels. Except him. He just had to lift his jersey, dragging it across his face. Every game, without fail, he'd bring lemon tea for everyone. And every time the team would grumble. "Dude, no one even likes this flavor." Yet he never stopped. Never cared. Damien fumed. "He's literally messing with us." Moody, arrogant, and absolute show-off. Each word came with a frustrated jab at the court fence. Rejects us. Destroys us. Then rubs it in our faces with his stupid lemon tea. Before he could finish, a lemon tea bottle sailed through the air and smacked right into Damien's chest. Damien cursed, shoving it into my hands. I chugged it down. And honestly, lemon tea tasted amazing. Sebastian's voice yanked me back to reality. Sorry about that. Slipped my hand. I tore my gaze away from his collarbones, still glistening with water droplets. I forced myself to focus. I had a favor to ask him. Sebastian's expression had returned to its usual calm. No sign of the earlier flustered mess. His ears. Bright red. Practically glowing. Then he spoke. Calm, steady, unreadable. Sophia, you've got it wrong. I don't like you. I froze. My mind went blank, a jumbled mess of thoughts crashing into each other. That one sentence. Can you pretend to be my boyfriend? It hovered at the tip of my tongue, but I couldn't say it out loud. Why wasn't he admitting it? Had I been delusional? Had I misread everything? Sebastian's eyes were still red, lingering traces of the reflex tears from choking earlier. He must have noticed something in my expression. His voice was gentle when he asked, "What were you about to say?" I mechanically shook my head. Sebastian clenched his left fist, cleared his throat lightly, then said, "There's something I need to tell you. Your boyfriend, Damien, cheated on you." I barely had time to react before he hurried to add, "I'm not lying. Last week he told you he was going out of town for a project with the professor, right? But I saw him at Riverside Park, watching fireworks with another girl." He pulled out his phone. On the screen, a photo. Damien, his sleeve caught in the girl's fingers as she clung to him. His face held a soft, doting smile. Behind them, golden fireworks exploded across the night sky. They looked perfect together. Me. Where was I that night? Lying in a hospital bed, drowning in the sharp scent of disinfectant. My whole body trembled as I clutched my phone, pressing Damien's number again and again. I wanted to tell him. I'd been in a car accident. My arm was scraped up. It hurt. It hurt so much. But no one picked up. Not until the fourth call when he finally answered. And all I got was his tired, exasperated voice. "Sophia, this project is really important to me. Just stay in the hospital and behave, okay? I'll see you when I get back." Sebastian was still talking, but I couldn't hear him anymore. Tears rushed up, burning my throat. But more than grief, I felt humiliated. I had stormed in here, convinced that Sebastian would agree to pretend to be my boyfriend. That we'd expose Damien, humiliate him, make him suffer. But what happened instead? Sebastian didn't even like me. The realization hit like a slap to the face. I shot up from my chair, the legs scraping against the floor with a sharp screech. I didn't care about Sebastian's reaction. I just wanted to leave. But before I could take a step, a gust of wind rushed past. A scalding hot grip closed around my wrist. Momentum pulled me backward, making me stumble. I barely had time to react before I crashed into Sebastian's chest. His other hand shook out his blazer, draping it over my trembling shoulders. I instinctively tried to push him away. But then, a voice came from behind me. "I've been looking for you. What are you doing here?" Damien. The hand that had been loosely resting on my shoulder tensed. Sebastian's grip on me tightened. Damien's voice carried a hint of amusement, unable to hide his curiosity. "Sebastian, who's this in your arms?" "Your girlfriend." From my angle, I saw Sebastian's Adam's apple bob twice. The damp collar of his soaked white shirt rose and fell with his breathing. For a long moment, he didn't speak. Then, in a voice so low it almost blended into the air, he hummed out a soft "ooh." Before Damien could press further, Sebastian suddenly laughed. The usual restraint in his eyes burned away, replaced by a reckless intensity. The grip on my wrist loosened, his fingers sliding down, intertwining with mine, even though I could feel his fingertips trembling slightly. And then, he dipped his head and brushed a kiss against my lips. It was brief, fleeting, but his tone carried a bold defiance, a thrill of risking it all. "Yeah, she's my girlfriend." Damien raised a brow. Well, never thought you'd actually land yourself a girlfriend. When did this happen? Why haven't you introduced her to us? Sebastian's voice was smooth. "She's shy." His suit jacket draped effortlessly over us, subtly hiding our clasped hands from view. Damien didn't recognize me, but I remembered the photo of him and that girl, and a sudden sharp urge for revenge surged inside me. My gaze lingered on Sebastian's throat, tracing the small mole beneath his Adam's apple. Then on impulse, I slid my arms around his waist. I felt his muscles go taut, the firm lines of his back tensing like a drawn bowstring. The pounding of his heartbeat thundered against my ear. From 3 meters away, Damien stood near a row of lush green shrubs. His gaze locked onto the figure in Sebastian's arms. Something about her back felt oddly familiar. He was just about to take a closer look when Sebastian, ears burning red, shot him a vicious glare. Damien hesitated but ultimately dropped it. Instead, he got to the point. "Sebastian, since you're in med school, I wanted to ask, who's the best gynecologist at our university hospital?" Sebastian's expression darkened. "Why?" Under Sebastian's sharp gaze, Damien shifted uneasily. Well, my girlfriend. She has really bad period cramps. I feel awful seeing her suffer, so I want to take her to a doctor." I let out a soft laugh, devoid of warmth. I never had period cramps, which meant Damien's girlfriend wasn't me. Sebastian's brows arched in mockery, his rejection imminent. But before he could speak, I gave our interlocked hands a small shake. I needed Damien's new girl to take the bait. Sebastian flicked me a quick glance, then smoothly changed his response. Sure, I'll help. But I'm in cardiology, so I'm not too familiar with that. I'll ask one of my classmates in gynecology. Damien's footsteps faded into the distance. The moment he was gone, I finally let go of Sebastian, lifting my hands to rub my ears. The sound of his thundering heartbeat had nearly deafened me. But just as I turned away, Sebastian leaned right into my space, looking both excited and slightly wronged. If you want to hit me, just do it. Then, as if afraid I'd hesitate, he quickly added, as long as it makes you feel better. I blinked. What? Sebastian was so nervous he started rambling. I held your hand without asking, hugged you and kissed you. But Damien is really a piece of S. I mean, he's terrible. I know you don't have period cramps. So the girlfriend he mentioned, she wasn't you. You should really break up with him. Sebastian's mouth snapped shut as if realizing he'd said too much. After a beat, he hastily added a cover-up. I mean, I knew because Damien mentioned it before. Yeah, that's it. His ears flared a deep red, his gaze darting everywhere but at me. I crossed my arms, eyeing him up and down. I see. Sebastian shut his eyes tight, his long lashes trembling, as if bracing for impact, ready to take my slap and verbal assault. Truthfully, if I hadn't overheard what Damien said earlier, I never would have even met Sebastian like this. And there definitely wouldn't have been any hand-holding, hugging, or kissing. But we had reached this point. I had already allowed Sebastian's little acts of rebellion. So instead of slapping him, I prodded the mole under his Adam's apple. Then I spoke. I already broke up with Damien. Sebastian, would you like to be my fake boyfriend? I barely got any sleep that night. Half of it was spent scheming revenge against Damien. The other half, Sebastian. He spammed my WhatsApp with 10 nudges in a row. I thought something urgent had happened, only to see he changed his display name to, my phone got stepped on by a cat. Cat? Was there a cat in their dorm? Hit back. Why is a med student like you rooming with a bunch of comp sci guys? It was already past 2 a.m., but Sebastian replied instantly. Because of you. I froze. Before I could even process it. Message deleted. The chat window showed typing. A moment later. That's just how the school assigned it. I don't know why either. Go to bed early. We've got an elective first thing tomorrow. Good night. The next morning, yawning, I trudged toward class. Up ahead, Sebastian stood under a tree, tapping furiously on his phone with a paper bag of breakfast in his other hand. His expressions shifted every few seconds. One moment he frowned, lips pressed tight. The next he smiled, flashing his sharp little canine teeth. I got curious and crept closer. Then I froze. His phone screen was open to our chat. He typed out, "Good morning." Deleted it. Typed it again. Deleted. For the third time. He took a deep breath. Finally hit send. Then he typed, "Did you have breakfast yet?" Hesitated. Deleted it. Rewrote it. "Do you want some of the breakfast I brought?" His finger hovered over the send button for a few seconds. Then deleted it again. I held back a laugh and softly called out, "Sebastian." Sebastian jerked. His hand twitched. And the half-deleted message accidentally sent. "Do you want to eat me?" Silence. Sebastian.exe has crashed. Last night when I asked again if he liked me, he denied it. Sure, his eyes darted everywhere and his face burned like a sunset. But he refused to admit it. Yet when I asked him to fake date me to get back at Damien, he agreed without hesitation. I didn't understand why. And I didn't ask. Sebastian thrust the bag of breakfast into my hands. Everything inside was exactly what I loved to eat. I frowned. How did he know? Even Damien never knew what I liked this precisely. I hesitated for a moment, about to ask, when the breakfast was suddenly snatched away. Damien's voice, laced with irritation. "Sophia, why didn't you get a burger and Coke? You know I don't eat this stuff." I used to bring breakfast for Damien every morning. Never thought that after breaking up he'd still have the audacity to take my food. I snatched it back and let out a cold laugh. Damien, we're already broken up. He froze. Since when? I watched as he hurriedly pulled up our chat. His face instantly darkened. No emotion stirred in me, so he never even read my message. I stepped back, dodging when he reached out to grab my hand. I have a new boyfriend now. Have some self-respect. At that, Damien frowned, then suddenly chuckled as if he'd figured it all out. Sophia, I know I've been too busy and neglected you. That's my fault. But you don't have to make up ridiculous lies just to get my attention. Why? My new boyfriend was standing right in front of him. I didn't bother arguing, just slapped away his hand again when he tried to ruffle my hair. His expression turned icy. Sophia, I gave you a chance. Don't push it. If you really want to break up, then take some time to cool off and think it through. First step of my plan. Successful. I ignored him, turned around and walked straight into class. Sebastian silently followed behind me. This was an elective class hosted by the computer science department, open to students from other majors. When group assignments started, Sebastian chose our team. For the midterm project presentation, Sebastian volunteered to do the a simple class report. Yet somehow he turned it into a damn press conference. Tailored black suit. Sleek, perfectly styled hair. Presentation slides immaculate. During his opening introduction, he started listing the group members' names. And stopped when he got to mine. Sebastian and Sophia. He paused. Then lifting his head, he locked eyes with me from across the classroom. A bright, dazzling smile. And then with a voice dripping with amusement, he finally said our names. Help. Sebastian usually looks like an untouchable ice prince, but when he smiles, why does he look like a mischievous husky who just tore up the living room? That smirk is lifted higher than my GPA. 3 parts shy for parts showing off. Also, what is he showing off? Why is a med student even taking a comp sci class? Is this just some elaborate peacocking ritual? The entire half-asleep class suddenly woke up. The buzzing whispers around me made my skin prickle. The moment the bell rang, I bolted out the back door. I didn't expect it. Just as I turned a corner, I ran into Sebastian again, this time at the package pickup station. He stood there in his white dress shirt, reaching out to snatch my parcel. Boyfriend delivery service. Please verify your order. I shook my head and refused. Sebastian glanced left, then right, then leaned down close to me. I'm pretending to be your boyfriend. I have to stay in character or people might get suspicious. His warm breath brushed against my ear, making me shrink back slightly. I tried again to refuse, giving the excuse that my package was dirty and he wasn't heading in my direction anyway. But Sebastian just grinned, his fingers casually tugging at his collar. Lucky for you, I have plenty of white shirts. If this one gets dirty, I can just change. Even luckier. Turns out I'm heading the same way as you. The next second, a robotic voice interrupted. Recalculating your route. Sebastian froze, then stammered out an excuse. I was just collecting energy in a game. For charity. You know, planting trees, saving the environment. The walk back to our dorms was quiet. Just as I opened my mouth to break the silence, Sebastian's phone started ringing. I held out my hand, motioning for him to give me my package back. But he clutched it even tighter, eyes blinking up at me like a puppy. Meanwhile, his phone kept blaring insistently. I exhaled sharply, reached into his pocket, and slid the phone out with my fingertips before swiftly answering. Sebastian, we agreed on 10 a.m. Where the hell are you? A frustrated male voice barked through the speaker. Sebastian, completely unfazed, simply replied. Give me a few minutes. I'll send you my entire set of final exam notes. I'm handling something important right now. Before the guy could react, Sebastian pressed end. I stared at him, utterly baffled. So he could hold the package with one hand this whole time? Sebastian caught my expression, startled for a split second before hurriedly clutching the box with both arms again. It's pretty heavy, he muttered, suddenly all serious. My arms are getting sore. Mind putting my phone back in my pocket for me? When we finally reached my dorm, I turned to thank him. But Sebastian cut me off. Sophia, earlier I said I was handling something important. His voice was soft but steady. I misspoke. What I meant was, to me, you are the most important thing. My heart skipped a beat. That same night, when Damien asked Sebastian to help find a gynecologist, Sebastian offered to book an appointment. Damien hesitated, then declined. So Sebastian gave him a referral instead. What Damien didn't know was that Sebastian also asked his med school friends to keep an eye on him. Now everything Damien did at the hospital was being fed back to us. The next morning, right after class, Sebastian dragged me to the hospital. We stood by a hallway corner, partially hidden, watching. Not far away, Damien was sitting with a girl. They were waiting for her appointment. Damien brushed aside the hair on her forehead, his voice gentle. Don't be scared. I'm right here. The girl nodded shyly. Then over the hospital intercom. Patient number 57, Amelia. Please proceed to exam room number 3. The two of them stood up and walked inside. I tucked my hair under a wig, adjusted my glasses, and wrapped Sebastian's white coat around me. From my hidden spot, I pulled out my phone and hit record. I trained the camera on the exam room door. Waiting. A minute later, the door swung open. The girl walked out first. As soon as I saw her face, my eyes went wide. It was her. No, how could it be her? The next day, at a quiet cafe on the corner, Amelia sat across from me. She was wearing a light blue knitted cardigan over a white chiffon dress. Soft, delicate, and effortlessly gentle. I remember you, she said with a warm smile, her eyes curving like crescent moons. What brings you here? I pressed my lips together, unsure how to begin. It wasn't until I saw her face up close that I finally remembered. We had met before. I have low blood sugar. Once while waiting for the subway, I nearly fainted. It was Amelia who noticed and helped me to a seat. Hold on, I have low blood sugar too. I always carry sweets with me. She patted every pocket but came up empty. I still remember her bewildered, frustrated expression. Where did they go? Why does this always happen at the worst time? Then suddenly, oh, right. She smacked her forehead and reached for her bag charm. She unzipped a tiny crocheted chick keychain and poured out a handful of fruit candies. She didn't leave until I had fully recovered. A girl like her, I refused to believe she would knowingly get involved in someone else's relationship. Plus, I took a deep breath and said, "I'm Sophia. I'm Damien's girlfriend." Amelia froze. Her eyes went wide, blinking in disbelief. Girlfriend. Damien has a girlfriend. He told me he was single. A weight lifted off my chest. So she really didn't know. Well, technically ex-girlfriend. We were both deceived. If I hadn't overheard him talking with his friends in the lab that day. I pulled out my phone and played the recording. The moment Damien's voice spilled out, Amelia's face darkened. Then she exploded. "Are you kidding me? Even those group buy discount boyfriends on Pinduoduo are more loyal than him." Evaluating options. As if he even qualifies. Why didn't he evaluate himself first and realize he's literal human trash? Calling him garbage is an insult to actual garbage. Leftover food in the dumpster has more integrity than he does. The waste classification manual needs a new category just for him. Non-recyclable human scum. Amelia was so furious she nearly called Damien on the spot to cuss him out. I stopped her just in time. "We need more evidence. If you never suspected he had a girlfriend, chances are he's using a burner account." Amelia clenched her jaw. I continued, "And worse, there might be more girls caught in his web of lies." I leaned in, voice steady but firm. "Listen to me. Here's what we're going to do." After finalizing our plan, Amelia and I got ready to leave. A light drizzle had begun to fall. As I turned toward the door, a cafe employee stopped me. "Miss, someone left an umbrella here for you." I paused. "Someone left it, for me?" I took the umbrella, its handle still faintly warm, and walked Amelia to a waiting taxi. After watching her car disappear into the rain, I strolled down the street at a leisurely pace. Sure enough, 5 minutes later, Sebastian coincidentally ran into me. His clothes were damp, darkened by the rain. "Wow, what a coincidence." He exhaled, brushing wet strands of hair from his forehead. "I didn't bring an umbrella. Mind if I share yours?" I let out a quiet chuckle. "First, answer my question. Do you like me?" Sebastian nodded. Then, as if realizing something, he jerked his head side to side in a frantic shake. Wait, yes. I mean, yes. Since when?" He hesitated. Then, with a resigned sigh, "The day I started pretending to be your boyfriend." I suddenly felt an irrational wave of frustration. Why no? Why only after I asked? Impulsively, I shoved the umbrella into Sebastian's hand, pulled him down by the collar, and bit him. Hard. Sebastian visibly trembled, fingers twitching around the umbrella's handle. The umbrella almost slipped from his grip. Before he could fully recover, his arms looped around me. His palm pressed against the back of my head, flipping our roles instantly. He kissed me back, deep, urgent, possessive. As if he'd been holding back for far too long. Rain pattered on the umbrella, soft against the steady rhythm of our breaths. Then, Sebastian's phone rang. He ignored it at first. I was still upset, so I bit down again, this time on the small brown birthmark just below his Adam's apple. Sebastian flinched. His fingers tensed. And the call was accidentally answered. The line went eerily quiet. For a long moment, the only thing coming through the speaker was Sebastian's unsteady breathing. A voice, low and suspicious, finally cut through the silence. "Were you out running or something? Why do you sound so out of breath?" "Damien." Sebastian's expression darkened instantly. "What do you want?" His voice was sharp, impatient. "If it's nothing, I'm hanging up." A cold chuckle crackled through the phone. "Of course there's something." Damien's tone dropped lower. "I broke up with Sophia. And now I think I want her back." "You tell me, Sebastian, what do you think I should do?" Sebastian stiffened. His hold around my waist tightened noticeably, possessively. "She has a new boyfriend. Why are you still bothering her?" His voice was strained. "You're an adult, Damien. Why are you still so hung up on relationships?" Mid-sentence, Sebastian stopped talking abruptly. Standing just beyond the veil of rain, Damien was there, watching us. His eyes locked onto mine. Silent. Moving. Sebastian's grip around me turned vice-like. Damien clicked his tongue against his cheek, letting out a sharp laugh. "So that's what this is about." His gaze flickered with realization. "No wonder you were always prying into my relationship with Sophia, calling it advice, while fishing for details. And here I was thinking you were just nosy." His lips curled in disdain. A medical student suddenly transferring to a dorm full of computer science majors? That was for Sophia too, wasn't it? I stiffened. Slowly I turned to look at Sebastian. His expression remained unreadable. Then he stepped forward, smoothly shielding me behind him. "Of course, I switched dorms to keep an eye on you." Sebastian tilted his head, smirking. "Had to study Sophia's type, figure out what she liked." His voice was casual, almost mocking. "Though in the end, none of it mattered, because you were never good enough for her." Damien's hands curled into tight fists, his knuckles turning white. "So that's it." His voice dropped lower. "That's why she suddenly wanted to break up." You told her everything, didn't you? Sebastian's jaw clenched. That's between Sophia and me. Damien's expression twisted in anger. And the next second, he threw a punch. Sebastian barely reacted. He simply handed me the umbrella, then lunged forward to meet Damien head-on. They crashed into each other. Fists flew. The sound of knuckles meeting flesh echoed beneath the downpour. I rushed forward, panicked. If you two don't stop, I'm calling the police. The threat worked. The fight broke apart. Both of them stood a few steps apart, breathing heavily, blood smeared across their faces. Rain ran down Sebastian's chin, mingling with the streak of red at the corner of his mouth. A thin scratch ran along his cheek, likely from Damien's nails. I lifted the umbrella over him, my eyes scanning his injuries with worry. But Sebastian, that idiot, that absolute menace, still had the audacity to grin. Doesn't hurt, he murmured. Then a wink. Boyfriend's wounds are a girlfriend's badge of honor. I nearly smacked him. The rain poured harder. Damien, drenched from head to toe, pushed wet hair back from his forehead. He let out a dry, humorless laugh. Then eyes dark, lips curling. Sophia. His voice was icy. You remember this. It was never me who wasn't good enough for you. He took a step back, standing taller. It's you. You were never good enough for me. His lips twisted into a smirk, his final words cutting through the rain. I'll find someone better. Someone prettier, smarter, and more worth my time than you ever were. Then he turned and disappeared into the storm. Damien's plan? Dead in the water. Before he could even sink his claws into a new girlfriend, Amelia and I had already collected a truckload of evidence. Screenshots, photos, voice recordings, you name it. And as it turned out, we weren't the only ones. Turns out Mr. Serial Heartbreaker had been stringing along multiple girls at the same time, whispering sweet nothings, making empty promises, playing his little games. So what did we do? We took it all to the campus forum. We posted a thread titled, Campus Forum, Damien the Serial Cheater Exposed. Within minutes, the comment section blew up. Top comments. No way. This was happening right under our noses? Somebody call the police already. This guy's got more dating achievements than I have failed exams. Impressive but revolting. Does he think he's some ancient emperor, collecting a harem on campus? Absolutely vile. Someone send me the computer science course list. I need to enroll in advanced time management, from rookie to serial cheater. Confirmed. My friend got played by him too. This guy isn't just trash, he's a full-blown biohazard. And then, of course, Damien came looking for me. He stared me down. I stared right back, calm as ever. A few seconds passed. And then he laughed, low, sharp, full of mockery. You think you've won? He sneered. Let me ask you something. Doesn't it strike you as odd? You barely knew Sebastian before all this. And yet, out of nowhere, he suddenly likes you. He leaned in, his smirk curling cruelly. One day he's going to meet someone better. Smarter, prettier, more perfect than you. And just like that, he'll leave you behind. Like that. I didn't flinch. I just smiled. If Sebastian and I ever break up, I said lightly, tilting my head, it'll be because we weren't the right fit. Not because of who's better. Then I took a step forward, voice soft, almost amused. And Damien, you sound nervous. His jaw tightened. And just like that, he snapped. You think you've ruined me? He growled, eyes flashing. If anything, you've only made me smarter. From now on, I'll be more careful, more discreet. More girls will fall for me, and I'll have you to thank for the lesson. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because of how utterly pathetic he sounded. Oh, Damien, I sighed, shaking my head. You really think women are just gonna keep falling for your lies? I took another step forward, dropping my voice into a whisper. Every time you lie from now on, you'll have to wonder, who's watching? Who's listening? Who's waiting to expose you all over again? My lips curled into a smirk. Congratulations, Damien. You always wanted attention, right? Well, now you're even more famous than Sebastian. I let out a slow chuckle, tilting my head. Enjoy keeping your head down for the rest of your college life. Just then, the classroom door creaked open. A familiar mop of dark hair poked inside. Sebastian's eyes lit up like a freaking golden retriever. Sophia, he grinned. I heard you say my name. Did you need something? I let out a helpless laugh, shaking my head. This guy. I was pretty sure he just wanted an excuse to step in. So, I smiled, reaching out my hand toward him. Come on. Let's go. Sebastian and I strolled along the quiet campus path, the golden hues of the setting sun casting a soft glow on his face, making his sharp features appear even more ethereal. I stopped walking. Sebastian immediately followed suit, turning to me with a gentle smile. Sophia, what's wrong? I held his gaze, searching for any flicker of hesitation. Sebastian, you have a girlfriend now. But if one day another girl comes along, someone who pursues you, someone smarter, prettier, would you ever waver? Sebastian raised an eyebrow, surprised. How would she even get close to me? I already have a girlfriend. He stepped forward, lowering his head until our eyes were level. Excellence is a measure set by others. But love is my compass. Even if the universe offers a sky full of stars, I'd only need to look down at the reflection of my one and only moon. His gaze suddenly brightened. Wait, did you just say I already have a girlfriend? Does that mean I can drop the act and become your real boyfriend? The sunset mirrored in his eyes, like fireworks blooming in the dusk. My heart pounded erratically. One more question, I pressed. When did you start liking me? And why? I believed love always left traces. Yet before that fateful moment with the campus card, Sebastian and I had barely crossed paths. At most, we had been in the same project group for a shared elective. For me, his feelings felt too sudden. Sebastian chuckled softly. Do you remember an ID called Little Fong? I froze. Memories long buried resurfaced. Back in freshman year, I had downloaded an anonymous messaging app. I used it to share bits and pieces of my daily life. And Little Fong had been my virtual friend. Their profile picture was a cartoon of a puppy twirling in circles. They loved sending dog stickers and conversations. And with that username, I had assumed they were a girl. You were Little Fong? Sebastian smiled and nodded. I once asked you, if someone confessed to secretly liking you for a long time, how would you react? I remembered my response vividly. 1. If someone has been hiding their feelings for years, they probably have something to hide. 2. Dumping their emotions on someone out of nowhere is unfair. It's like guilt-tripping the other person into accepting them. 3. Secret crushes need to be examined carefully. If someone claims they've liked you while dating others at the same time, that's just disgusting. At the time, I thought Little Fong had received a confession from someone sketchy. So I'd responded harshly, trying to warn them, trying to keep them safe. Sebastian's expression dimmed slightly. Your words scared me, he admitted. I didn't want my feelings to become a burden to you. And before I could figure out what to do, you suddenly disappeared. That year, I had been spending too much time on the app. It had started affecting my studies. And so, I made a decision. I deleted it, cutting ties with the online world. I recognized you in real life after that, Sebastian continued. But by then you had a boyfriend. So I stayed away. I exhaled slowly. Until now, I had never known. Then when I found out about Damien cheating, I realized I had a chance. A chance for you to get to know me all over again. I didn't let him finish. I leaned in and kissed him. Then let's start over. Hello, my boyfriend.